Those who would like to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Back.
Mayor Smith. Alderman Villier. Present. Alderman Hill.
Present.
Alderman King.
Present.
Alderman Lancaster. Present. Alderman Swadash.
Present.
Alderman Wilson. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Wes, anything for the agenda?
We had a Water Advisory Board list update. One of the selections you previously made was unable to serve, so Brian Chapman has been selected as his replacement on that. And then there was an update to ordinance for number 17 on the agenda to correctly construct the authorizing ordinance for the contract. Version previously uploaded was a draft. So it wasn't meant to go up there. It hasn't changed any of the contents of the contract. It's just like last time we had this, it just correctly constructs it to be an authorizing ordinance. And that was it.
All right, and we get a motion to accept the agenda.
A motion to accept the agenda.
Second. I have a first and a second. Alderman Villier. Yes. Alderman Hill.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster. Yes. Alderman Swadash.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next item is the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions on any of the issues of the consent agenda? You haven't had a chance to look at it. If there are no questions, we either
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second. I have a first and a second. Alderman Villier. Yes. Alderman Hill.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster.
Yes.
Alderman Swadash.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, next item is outstanding invoices, drafts, and check paid invoices.
None to discuss today.
Nothing to discuss. I have that marked on that. If you'd like to vote on that?
No, we won't need to vote on that. That was just in case we had any last minute ones.
I'd make that yellow green. All right. Next section, citizens input. Anybody like to step forward and state your name and address and talk to us about whatever you'd like to talk to us about? Yes, ma'am, come forward. Or if you'd like to do it from there, that's fine.
Okay,
As
I'll
long as you
sit
talk
here.
loud.
I moved to Willard 2 years ago, and the only thing I see that Willard has a problem is the storm shelter sirens. There's not enough to go around where I live. You cannot even hear them.
Where do you live, ma'am?
I live on the corner of Pershing and Hughes. So if they would put one on Hughes and AB, that would get a big section.
Can I get your name also, ma'am?
Mary Brewer,
And your exact address?
829 Pershing.
Thank you. So you can't hear the sirens at all?
Not unless I'm outside.
Okay, we'll look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, see none, we'll close that section. And who wants to read the results from the April 8 election?
Well,
In minutes.
I will take that one. So we don't have the official certified results from the election office yet. We have, in recent hours, heard from the elections office to tell us they are anticipating the results to be available by 2 p.m. tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. So it appears from the results they have online, we know who won most of it and the outcome of the public safety tax, but that write-in, we don't even have any names of who was written in yet.
Do we know if there was more than one write-in? We don't know. Okay.
not a thing.
We just know
Elections
that there were a
coordinator
certain
is.
number of
Yeah,
write-ins.
we know the number, but
Okay.
yeah. The elections coordinator was not available today.
Okay. Having marked the polls, you may have to go to Disneyland to get most of the write-ins. That's how it usually works.
There's always a few Mickey Mouses.
That is so frustrating.
Well, we're hoping, an individual did step up online and say that she was interested in running, so we're hoping that individual did collect enough of the votes and remains interested. Once that process has been completed and we have the names, we can begin the vetting process. Hopefully we'll have everything tied up in time for the next meeting.
Thank you. And project manager report for sanitary sewer status update.
On the 94 lift station, Forest Spring in Springfield, Dr. Martin's in the process of submitting the construction permit documents to Missouri Department of Natural Resources. And then companion to that, of the whole list of additional permit applications will have to be made to Greene County Environmental, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Springfield Environmental Services, MoDOT, and Greene County Highway Department. The last two regarding use. So we've got the check to go to DNR, so this all should go out this week. All the parties, and DNR will take probably 30 days to review the construction documents and specifications, and hopefully we'll get a favorable result, or at least a simple question to answer. On the Meadows connection to Springfield, this one family easement tract, I am getting conversation from the family's attorney that they're getting the successor trustee cleaned up where they can act. Sent him an email this morning and I had a reply as to where that stands as of today. I'm operating on a conversation from last week. I think there is good intentions here. It's just a problem of wasn't the best estate plan ever created and derived. So they got a little cleanup to do. Of course, the matriarch of the family's death in the middle of this thing didn't help matters. With regard to along the right of way of that Meadows line, Palmer and Parrish board each of the individual manhole locations to determine depth to rock. And from their report, there was no rock encountered at any of these locations that would be above this line depth for the sewer. So this is good. So we're not going to have a big surprise and encounter rock. So we kind of know this going out, and that'll be shared. We're ready to bid this project. It will still probably have a rock clause in it, which it should have. It'd be part of the standard bid package, but we're not expecting to see hardly anything. And that's where we stand on these two projects. So we're kind of cusp here, move to the next phase.
Great, thank you.
As soon as we get this trust thing situated, then we'll be ready to bid out the Meadows sewer line and see what reality is in bid responses.
Great. All right, if that's all, there's no other questions. Next item is number 12, lane shift consulting presentation.
So as directed by the Board of Aldermen last meeting, we had some questions on our consulting for the master transportation plan. Lane shift has went through and they've readdressed the bullet points on what they're providing and everything like that. And I'm pleased to introduce Ryan Hale from Lane Shift. He's here to give a presentation to you all on what his company does and his qualifications, and be present for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in this evening. It's an honor. What a beautiful city.
Look forward to the potential of being able to work with you over the next few months in support of the Master Transportation Plan. So a little bit about me. I'm from Northwest Arkansas. Been there most of my life. Went to school at the University of Arkansas. Was on the 4-year program. Knocked it out in 5. I played football. 94 through 98. Got drafted and went on and played for the New York Giants for a couple years. And was very fortunate to be able to play in the Super Bowl. Doesn't have anything to do with active transportation right now, but that's just a little bit of background on me. I'm a father of 6 kids, 4 girls, 2 boys, and a grandfather. Spent the early part of my career as a banker, and then worked for the Walton Family Foundation there in Bentonville for 5.5 years during the early days of our active transportation network as it began to grow and it began to build out, both from the paved trails as well as the mountain bike trails. 8 years ago, I launched my own consulting firm and did that for 8 years and was very happy doing that, but also was very excited that 2 months ago, our firm was acquired by a large 65-year-old, one of our longtime partners, Craft & Toll, that you can see here on the board. Based out of Rogers, Arkansas, we were acquired. Craft & Toll said, we want you to come and be part of us. We want you to keep your brand. We want you to keep all the programs that you're doing. Everything that you're doing now, we want you to do that, but we want you to do that with us. So 2 months ago, so now I have the Wi-Fi password and I have found the bathroom. But no, it's been great. It's far exceeded my expectations to be a part of a company like this, to move from a team of 4 to a team of over 300. Our company has a lot of different disciplines, everything from landscape architecture to surveying to environmental to traditional civil engineering services as well as planning. So as we, go ahead Wes, as we think about in particular lane shift and why we're here today, our work is really focused around creating connected communities. And so how do we create connections within your community that can help people walk, bike, roll, and run and get around your community in different ways? And that's really what our focus is. Next slide. I had the opportunity, I've been in Northwest Arkansas most of my life. Like I said, graduated from Rogers High School, married a native, and it's been amazing to see what's happened in Northwest Arkansas. Many of you have probably spent time there and traveled there. Hopefully you've ridden a bike or walked or run or jogged or done something in the outdoors in Northwest Arkansas. But it's been incredible to see what biking in particular has done for our region. Biking has become a primary economic engine for our region. So when you look at most of the outgoing materials, marketing materials, most of those have some sort of a trail map, a picture of somebody on a bike, and it's become a primary economic engine for our region. In Benton and Washington County alone, a recent University of Arkansas study showed that biking alone, just in Benton and Washington County, generates around $159 million annually in health and economic benefits just to 2 counties alone. So it's been a big deal for us, and I've had the opportunity to play a part, not the integral part, but play a part in that over many, many years. So next slide, Wes. So our company, what do? We help communities figure out these connections. And we do that based on kind of a framework called the connected community model. We do professional development, so we have trained hundreds of professionals over the last 8 years. People come from all over the country in to spend 3 or 4 days with our team. That's where we had the chance to meet Mike. And we teach professionals and we kind of give them this framework that they can implement within their community. The connected community model is really built around developing safe, comfortable, and connected infrastructure, right? So that's the hardscapes, sidewalks, shared use paved paths, bike lanes, things like that, as well as developing a welcoming, accessible, and encouraging culture. So we've learned over time in the Midwest that just building a trail alone isn't enough. There has to be some additional programming or encouragement to get people riding so that they'll actually
riding and walking so that they'll actually use that. So that's a little bit about us. We're essentially a planning and professional development firm. We spend time working with communities like yours to kind of figure out these connections, but then we also host professional development programs in Bentonville, Arkansas, where people come to learn from us. Next slide, please. So, one more, Wes. A little bit about some of our projects that we've worked on. Next slide. Just a couple notable ones that we've worked on in recent years. City of Fort Smith, Arkansas, we helped them develop their active transportation plan. We worked in Fort Smith for over a year. Conducted extensive public engagement. We did 6 public input sessions. We did focus groups. We did walk audits. We did workshops. We had groups that came to Northwest Arkansas and spent, half a day with us learning from what's happened there. And then we took all of that and put that into a plan. It was both a list of infrastructure improvements that could be made as well as different programmatic elements that could be made within Fort Smith. Next slide. Last year, we also, around the same time as the Fort Smith plan, we also completed what was called the Swift Creek Outdoor Hub. That was a far-reaching project that had multiple facets, including the design of an outdoor hub that you can see there on the right. We worked with one of our partners, Progressive Trail Design, on that. It included a pump track, retail space, restaurant, skate park, bike park, as well as a traditional mountain bike park. And then on the left-hand side, we also developed key connections that would be like paved trail connections or bike lanes to help people within the county kind of move into and through the state's largest state park, which is an 8,000-acre state park called Pocahontas State Park. So that's the Swift Creek Outdoor Hub out of the Richmond, Virginia area. Next slide. Have also recently or last year completed a project with the River Parks Authority out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. They approached us and said, hey, we have a couple kind of potential safety concerns we'd like to get some input on. Can you guys help us come up with some concepts for that? So we helped them kind of rearrange a parking lot, rethink and re-envision a parking lot, and then also develop some ways to get a key trail across a very busy road there. Next slide. A little closer to home for you. In 2022, early 2023, we wrapped up again with Progressive Trail Design what's called a Trails and Connectivity Master Plan in Osage Beach. That was identifying key zones in Osage Beach where mountain bike trails could be placed, and then finding ways to connect those with shared use paved paths or bike lanes. And then one more. This is a few years old. We worked in both the city of Springdale, Arkansas and Siloam Springs, Arkansas to 2 separate projects. One was about a mile of new bike lanes in Springdale, Arkansas through downtown. And then in Siloam Springs, there was a kind of a neighborhood greenway or a bicycle boulevard. We completed both of those projects simultaneously, including the design, the public input, and the actual installation of the materials, both of those simultaneously within 90 days using volunteer labor. So I know that's a very quick overview of who we are, but I know that there was some question about who is this group and what's their background and what's their experience. So I'll just stand for questions. Perfect.
So I'm going to ask you a question that I don't mean to sound too blunt, but I think we have some pretty smart department heads and P&Z guys that are pretty smart guys. But I want to ask you a question that somebody will ask me. What would we get for our money, so to speak? What do you know? What resources do you have that we don't know about that you could, magnify the abilities of the people that we already have here?
Well, first and foremost, we're one piece of this master transportation plan. It's my understanding that there's another firm that's gonna be involved working on the streets and roads side of the master transportation plan, so we're one piece of that. Our role is to help support the city. The city is kind of spearheading the master transportation plan and bringing our expertise in active transportation as well as CJW's expertise in streets and roads to the table. So absolutely, there's lines on a map and talking to the public, your staff can handle that, absolutely. What we bring to the table is additional capacity. So doing that in addition to your staff's already busy schedule is in some ways why you hire consultants, is because we can take on some of that capacity. And we're also working in lots of other communities. We're traveling to different parts of the country and we're bringing those best practices to the table and trying to deploy those here. So that's what I think we can bring to the table is capacity and expertise.
So you would be willing, are able to work with not only the city, but our partners like at Greenway Trails and all the stakeholders, you know, that are involved. You can work with everybody to develop things like this parking lot and some of the trails and the safety features that I think that we need. Just because I think that our town is disjointed from a transportation perspective. You know, we have, like most towns, a highway that cuts right through the middle of it.
Yeah.
So you kind of got two sides of town, and we got a third spot, like where Scott lives, it's kind of down away from everybody else.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to be able to bring all those neighborhoods together.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We want to work with whoever the stakeholders are in this city and in the surrounding region. So we've had a long-standing relationship with Ozark Greenways. Knew Mary very well. Actually, Ozark Greenways, it's probably been about 4 years ago now, brought a big group of, I want to say 25 people and spent the day with us, kind of learning from our team. Ben, who is now the new executive director of Ozark Greenways, has been through our Active Transportation Academy, so we do have that built-in relationship. And so absolutely, we want to work with whoever we can to get the part of when we come in from the outside, we need to understand what is the context and what is the background. We don't ever want to do planning to a community. We want to do it by, with, and through the community. So we're going to need to, and Mike and team are going to need to lean on you to get the word out about public input sessions so that people will show up and actually draw lines on a map, share with us what the issues and concerns are. But I'll reassure you that absolutely we want to work with whoever is a key stakeholder that we need to.
I don't want to ask all the questions, so.
I feel like a lot of it was covered in the presentation.
Very well presented.
Thank you.
And I know some of us have been in Northwest Arkansas and wiped down there, and
Yeah.
it's truly impressive.
Yeah, well, we would love for you guys to, if time and things allow, we'd love for you to come and spend a couple hours with us. We have a fleet of e-bikes, a van and trailer, and there's a lot to be learned.
Lost me at e-bike.
What's that?
Sorry, you lost me at e-bike.
Oh, well, they're actually,
I used to say the same thing until I took the course.
Wow, that's what I've heard.
they're
You still gotta
actually,
work on them.
That's what I've heard.
they're a game changer, for sure, especially there where we have a lot of hills.
Yes.
There was a question, I believe it was brought up at last meeting, that there's a cap not to exceed X amount of dollars.
Right.
But because of being acquired by a larger company, that ceiling could potentially be lower.
Yeah, we've adjusted those totals based on our current rates.
Okay.
So the total that's in, I believe, in the packet that you have reflects our current rates.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Well, we appreciate you coming out and driving up here. and
absolutely.
Meeting with us. That's
Beautiful community,
beneficial.
and look forward to the potential of working with you. Thank you.
Thank
For
you.
your time.
All right, looks like we have a handful of resolutions next. Item number 13, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city of Willard or additional staffing, for additional staffing.
So there's a good possibility you're gonna get really sick of hearing from me today. So, as you know, we had a resolution before the board, talking about a possibility of hiring an additional inspector for both public works, nuisance, and building.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. With this, we've went over the contract with Nate and with Wes to establish a high end, so you don't have infinity on top. Somebody can come in and, you know, make Trevor Hoffman wages. So we did establish a top end to that. We would just like to propose a resolution to the board, and find out what the board would like to do. If they would support the hiring of an inspector, and this would, like I said, this would get us out of the contract inspection. Randy would be no longer contracted with the city, and we would have a full-time piece to work with. So, were there any questions on?
What was the last year's total for the contract, what did we pay?
How much we paid him?
He is capped, both, we have Chris Straw and Randy that are contract inspectors, and their salaries are capped at $25,000. But they only work 2 days a week. So anything that comes in the other 3 days, I'll go out and do those inspections, so.
What is the range that we're looking at, Mike?
I believe we're looking to, and it depends on qualifications. If we hire someone young that we like, you know, obviously it's gonna be lower, but we're looking around 50 if they're qualified with experience.
So we're at a push between their two contracts and having a full-time as far as wages.
Yeah, we would use the majority of the contract inspections towards the wages, plus we did budget for a position, so we do have some additional leeway between public works and the building department. So we would not require an amendment to the budget or anything like that to secure this position.
I thought I recalled that from the last meeting that you did have budget planned for.
Yeah, yeah.
So we want to vote on this? Or what we're looking for?
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution for the mayor to execute necessary docs on behalf of the city for additional staff.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Alderman Beelier.
Yes.
Alderman Hill.
Yes.
Alderman Keane.
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster.
Yes.
Alderman Swatter.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item number 14, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Willard, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to sign the appropriate documents to complete the Jackson Street downtown sidewalk project.
I told you you're getting sick of me. So, as you know, we've been working on improving the downtown. We have several engineering contracts out to improve mobility and interconnectivity and safety. One of those is installing a sidewalk from Miller to Main Street, tying the downtown, the two commercial centers in the downtown together, improving the safety at the school, upgrading the ADA and crosswalks where needed. This will be conjoined with future parking increases downtown and different things like that that will help us just improve the general movement and safety of the downtown area. So we're just looking at basically a resolution by the board that over the next couple months and years, we're gonna be bringing stuff before the board on downtown improvements and everything like that. We just like got a resolution from the board knowing that the board stands behind us in improving the downtown interconnectivity and safety.
Where would you acquire additional parking for downtown?
You're not supposed to ask questions like that. Actually the original easement for the 160 is actually larger.
Then it should be your needs.
And then I have a meeting with Ozark Greenways, Monday of next week, and we'll be talking to him, and he's coming in as a partner, that if we do require an additional 6 feet on the north side to make things work for safety and stuff like that, if they'd be agreeable to partnering with the city, so.
We need to vote on that.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to accept the amendment as written.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Alderman Builier?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Key?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swaddles?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next section, we have a handful of ordinances. Item number 15. Rebecca thinks she wants to read these, so. She's taking one away from me.
An ordinance allowing the mayor to enter into a contract with Lane Shift for consulting services. Second read.
Okay, you had the opportunity to talk to Ryan and go over his proposal. As you recall, I mean, I went to this training last year and it was thought shifting. I mean, I threw a bunch of stuff away because it just didn't align to where I think we want to go. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to put a master transportation plan together with a trails plan and a parks plan and get the public input, directing us on what they want to see. Because it's not Mike's plan, it's Willard's plan, you know. What does Willard want to see on active transportation and streets and parks and locations and all of that? So I think Ryan said it best, just capacity and experience. Lane Shift has a lot of capacity, they did a lot of jobs, they have a lot more scope. I tend to have my blinders on to, hey, this is Willard and this is what needs to happen, and they're a little bit more out there, as you can see by the projects they've done. So that's what this is. It's just a contract for his consulting services. I think he came in at 43.5 or something like that. We budgeted 52. But if you'll notice, they have an additional resources that he put in there that would help us with the plan, with the additional money, or any money that we decide that is needed towards that project. Compiling information and actually putting it in the plan form, that's going to be a lot of what they can help us with on the back end also. So that's what this ordinance is just to authorize the mayor to enter into that contract with Lane Shift so we can begin our steering committee, begin our public engagement, and start the master transportation plan.
I have a question, and this is honestly not even so much a question for you. This is really more of a question for Jason.
Oh, I love questions like that.
Did we utilize any form of outside consulting working with the Better Together Parks program? And if we did, what did we pay for that?
So with that project, we were actually really fortunate because the community brought that project forward, and we had experts in the field. Marion Hill, current OT at Key School. We had an OT student to keep us fresh with new stuff. And then working with Doug Liedick as a grants guy at Missouri State. The outside expertise that we had was just individuals that already brought that expertise in with the passion. We did talk to some folks at Abilities First, and then when we shopped the playground, we shopped it with 3 different companies that specialize in inclusive play. Granted, that they're salespeople, so their expertise is selling stuff. So, and then with the Parks Department having access to that statewide network of other parks people who have done this before, that really was our outside consulting. We didn't hire a specialist for it.
I just was curious because this seems like on top of the CJW another consulting cost. So I just feel like we're stacking duplications on top of duplications.
And that's a great question, let me clarify that for you. So, on the engineering side, CJW is our engineer, they're approved engineer and everything like that. When Lane Shift was initially, when we approached Lane Shift to do some consulting for us, they were still by themselves. Now they have a whole slew of resources and everything like that and stuff to offer, but that wasn't the case back then. We strictly hired them as a consultant for active transportation. So none of the engineering, none of the spec review or anything like that was gonna go through them. They were gonna be strictly consulting on the active transportation, the public engagement, and the direction of the master transportation plan. What's our vision? How are we gonna get there? And they structure it, and then we roll with it, with the public input, and CJW does the design. So, it may seem like stacking, but it's like right hand, left hand. They're not doing the same job, they're doing two different jobs. And if you look at the cost of a master transportation plan all rolled up, you're talking between $100,000 and $150,000.
Another thing I'll add as well, for my film home that I shall no longer mention, it's not my home anymore, but what we found was there's a lot of funding that can be available, but you have to have a master transportation plan to show them, hey, we've done our homework and we know we need crosswalks here and trails there and an intersection over here. And that does revolve around that master transportation plan. That is your evidence that you've done your homework and you've figured out what you truly need before you ask for the money. And then you get into 80-20 matches. But Safe Streets for All is a good program, master transportation plan. It's going to give us that edge, along with the engineering that Mike's been working on with CJW, to have these basically shovel-ready projects. That's the other linchpin. You can't get the grant because you now got to do the engineering to show that you need it and how you're going to do it and know how much you need. So it's all part of a big kind of jigsaw.
But is that extra, what was it, if we're looking at the total cost, I've got to scroll back pages, sorry.
43,000.
It is 43.9, but then the additional services are an additional 19, so we're looking at 63.9.
That is not correct. So
That's the April 1st.
if you look at the numbers, what he did first is what we were asking him to do came in at $43,000. And then the additional services that he offered, if he was to charge for all the additional services he offered, it would be another 16. So I think we were saving just over $8,000.
Let's look at it. Anytime you do building,
Yes,
isn't it better to aim high?
it's true.
Okay,
It's true.
so we're looking at approximately 63,000.
So my recommendation to the board would be, I have budgeted right now for consultation $52,000. To me, that's aiming high. He's coming in at 43,000. Okay, that gives me a cushion. If I go over on something, I'm not amending my budget. If we go through the process and we expend all the funds and everything like that, then it would be a new presentation to the board saying, this is where we're at, this is what we've spent, this is where we need to be. What do you think? Where do we go from here? So my proposal to the board would be to keep my budget that was budgeted for at $52,000 for a not to exceed contract with Lane Shift, and then see where we get.
So I have a question.
Yes, Scott.
If you were to put Lane Shift on this program and you CJW and you got all the master plan done, how many years down the road would it take us to accomplish what they come up with? Objectively.
Wow. That's a good question. It really depends on development.
Are we thinking about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years?
It's usually between a 15 and a 20-year plan that you try to put together. You try to revise that every 10 to 15 years to make sure you're heading in the same direction as the public thinks you need to be.
So in your response,
Yeah.
You said that depends on our development. So our development is critical to moving forward, you know, with whatever these gentlemen come up with to funds.
Yeah, development's crucial on a lot of levels, infrastructure and
Yeah.
trails and parks and
Exactly.
everything like that.
So currently, we're at a situation where we have to do a lot of work with a lot of money to get the development to happen. So is this, in your opinion, possibly maybe the cart before the horse?
Well, let me explain it to you this way. Without a master transportation plan, if I had a developer come in and buy 60 acres in downtown Willard, and I don't have a master transportation plan, I have no teeth to come to a developer and say, you need to upsize your road, you need to put a trail in here, you need to put a park here, because I have no plan. So that's what this is doing, is that is defining what the city wants, what the city's looking out 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. That Hunt Road, yeah, that might need to be expanded to a secondary arterial because, you know, we're gonna expect some volume north and south. So when the developer comes in, I can say, because we have a master transportation plan, I need you to upgrade this road to a secondary artillery road. So
in your opinion, then this is essential now.
this is the horse before the cart.
It's essential for our growth.
We need this now to define how Willard's gonna be developed in the next future, yes.
This might be backtracking, but I have a question for Jason.
Oh,
Similar,
yes.
back to what I knew where Casey was headed with her questions, and I liked what she was asking.
Yeah.
If you had to hire out to do that park, because I know what it cost, that park's almost $1 million park,
Yes,
just for what was spent.
yes.
If you had to hire for all the work that was donated by those passionate people that wanted it,
We'd be looking at closer to a $1.5 to $1.8 million project.
so this 52 cap is for a 20-year projected plan.
Yeah, and kind of as a corollary to this conversation, you know, Mike and I have been talking about long-range growth in the Parks Department with trails, with property acquisition to build a off-road transportation plan. And I've reached out to various different places that have done projects similar, a master planning project, and just said, how did you do this? And they said, well, we hired outside consultants, and I said, what kind of price range are you looking at? And they're like, well, we got the basic package, and we're looking at $60,000 for a community of 8,000 people to do a master plan for a park system, which, you know, that is a cost that I just kind of went, no, okay, so we'll just, I went to Mike and I said, Mike, with lane shift, what does that include? And he said, you know, this is the future of Willard. So like, we're going to the community and we're asking specific questions, but we're also taking the feedback from other things. So do we need another park location? Where does it need to be to serve the community? And it's, you know, our farthest south park currently is at north of 94. So there's a long ways that is Willard service that is not served by a park, because all our parks are in the north half of town currently. So lumping in some of the information that we gain from this project would be hugely beneficial just for parks growth, because we're able to piggyback on some of the findings that the master transportation plan puts into place that don't, they're information that we wouldn't necessarily have unless we did Google forms and Google surveys. And a lot of people have feelings about how a Google survey looks. It's not the tidy professional package, and I'm not equipped to mediate a town hall where I get feedback from people who are like, it's the stupidest idea to build a park south of 94, there's nothing there now. With the people who are really impassioned that live south of 94. Having focus groups and trained mediators and people who are just there to gather information and have no stake in any of the decisions that are made, I think is huge. Not just for, I mean, I think it's huge for master transportation, but it would be huge for the Parks Department to piggyback on that.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to say, hey, we're focusing on roads. We want to expand that out and use the expertise, because like it or not, it's a lot of money. you know? But if I can use that information on the majority of the stuff that we're gonna be dealing with in the next 10, 15 years, to me, that's money well spent. So, great question. Anything else?
I like that it does and will incorporate not only our roadway transportation, but also help to inform connectivity with the Parks Department and for biking trails and where to put them and how and strategic.
And Ryan brought up some great points. I mean, we'll identify key players. You know, I fully intend to talk to the school district. I fully intend to talk to the Chamber of Commerce, the Parks Department, and have these key players in the room as we're talking on,
Right.
you know, how can we help safety of the schools through active transportation and trails and interconnectivity and sidewalks. That's why we have a 160 underpass, is because we got feedback from the city and the schools and some of the residents about probably be a good idea not to have the kids crossing the 160 all the time. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to identify the key players. We're trying to incorporate everybody and get us, you know, expand that net as much as we can with the information so we can, you know, wisely use our budget, so.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance as read.
I will second that.
I have a first, a second. Alderman Wheeler,
Yes.
Alderman Hill,
Yes.
Alderman King,
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster,
Yes.
Alderman Swadesh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, and Rebecca, just to let you know, they will be sending a formal contract out, so we don't need his signature on this. They'll be sending a signed copy up for us to complete.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 16.
An ordinance authorizing the city of Willard, Missouri to enter into an agreement with the International Cybernetics Company doing business as IMS. Oh, sorry, Infrastructure Management Services for the pavement management and structural testing project, approving the fee proposal and scope of work and authorizing execution of necessary documents. This is a second.
I'd be delighted to know my one was really simple. This is having these folks come in, drive all our roads in Willard, take some scans, take some analysis, give us a plan of where do we need to start working, what do we need to fix first. You know, sometimes the road looks good, and then the core is damaged and the road looks terrible, but it's actually not too bad and we can do some other work with it. So we'll use this. The plan is typically good for about 5 years. We did budget for this with the anticipation of getting it started. We did scale back road projects this year to make sure that when we do start throwing money at it, we're throwing it on the right roads at the right time. So with your approval, we'll be able to start that process and start improving our road quality index across the city. Nice and easy.
This is going to help us make Miller Road look better there.
We sure hope so. What they'll do is they'll essentially tell us what's wrong with them. That one, actually just drawing it and eyeballing it, I mean, the old windshield survey, it doesn't look too terrible, other than it's terribly narrow. There's 5 acres over there, I think we could probably carve a little.
At least the cul-de-sac.
But in seriousness, it'll look at roads that maybe we have concerns about and truly tell us what we're looking at. That then informs our decisions as far as approaching engineers and saying, would you look at this road and tell us what we need to do? Where do we need roads to maybe expand? They'll show us where they may be a little on the narrow side. But right now, we just shoot in the dark and set a amount of money for the roads and throw it at that's the right road.
Make a motion that we approve the ordinance as read.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Alderman Wheeler,
Yes.
Alderman Hill,
Yes.
Alderman King,
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster,
Yes.
Alderman Swadesh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 18.
An ordinance establishing formal policy for seasonal employees of the city of Willard. Second reading.
Excuse me, you skipped.
I think we skipped
Oh,
that.
I apologize. An ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the city of Willard, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Reservoir Audit Solutions Incorporated for auditing services. Second reading.
So we talked about this one. Essentially, it's a no-cost contract with the city to check our franchise collections and make sure we're getting everything we're supposed to get. If they do happen to find something, then they take a contingency fee out of the findings. And if they don't find anything, we are just rest assured that everything is coming in as we expect. So essentially, you know, for all intents and purposes, zero fee for us, unless they are successful.
I haven't thought of any further questions from the first read, so.
Okay.
Make a motion that we accept the ordinance as read.
Second.
All right, I have a first and a second. Alderman Delia. Yes. Alderman Hill.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster.
Yes.
Alderman Swash.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now number 18.
An ordinance establishing formal policy for seasonal employees of the city of Willard. Second reading.
And then this one was just to address, you know, basically creating a true seasonal position. Right now, it seems like we have some seasonals who may be more like part-times. So this sets, instead of about that much text in a book for defining seasonal employees, an actual policy of what they are, terms, duration, and creating a consistent structure, including a terms of employment letter that goes with it, so that when somebody is hired for the city of Willard as a seasonal employee, they know exactly what the terms of that employment look like. It will time limit it to 6 months without CA and CFO approval to further help ensure we stay within budget on seasonal employment.
Motion, we approve the ordinance as read.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Alderman Delia.
Yes.
Alderman Hill.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster.
Yes.
Alderman Swash.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item number 19.
An ordinance giving the mayor authority to enter into an agreement with Arrow for high-speed internet, VoIP service, and for Starlink Services LLC to be used as backup to provide phone and internet services for the city.
So this one, we previously talked to the board about setting up some internet service. When that kind of fell through, I couldn't help but notice that the price for the updated internet service was the same as the much better internet service that we were assured we could get. So we asked Jeremy to come along to kind of explain the technological limitations so that you would understand why the price is the same for essentially lesser service.
So what I got from the guys is when AT&T proposes the service that's available, they assume they have fiber there, they assume they can do 1 gig. So what Arrow did is they did a promotional when they first bid it and basically said, we'll give you a gig at 100 meg price. So that's what we signed up for. After going through all of that, there's a technical limitation on AT&T's side, and all I was told is it's a distance thing, that they can't provide the 1 gig. So they have to default back to the 100 meg service, which they can provide at the police station.
So it's the same cost though, because they've already quoted it at the 100.
Yeah, there's no cost difference.
They don't have a special?
No, and I asked them the same thing. I said, okay, so we were quoted 100 gig,
Right.
but now we're only gonna be able to get 100 meg, so why isn't it cheaper? And that's when they told me it was a promotional thing that they offered to get 100 gig, or not 100 gig, get 1 gig. at
1 gig for 100 meg.
Yeah. And they just, AT&T can't provide it. It's not Arrow's fault, it's AT&T's fault.
It doesn't have the cable for it.
Yeah, all they gave me was it's a distance limitation from their closest hub, is all I was told.
Could you get the 1 gig for your practice?
Yeah, so the PD is the only one that's outstanding. All the other internet circuits have been upgraded. Willard, or the city hall has a gig, full gig here. So this is the only one we're waiting on, and that's why it took so long, is they tried every which way to see if they could get the gig there, and it's just, they can't.
Just drops too much trying to push it that far.
I would assume, based off how fiber works, my guess is they have these little connectors on each side that they call SFPs. My guess is it can't produce enough light for it to get a link on the other side.
And we don't need a vote, it's first reading.
No.
Just wanted you to be aware of why the numbers were the same, but it got worse.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right, item number 20.
Ordinance, the Board of Aldermen of the City of Willard, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Culpeper and Merriweather Circus.
Thank you. So Culpeper and Merriweather Circus is a small circus group out of Oklahoma. They would like to come to Willard and perform a show. All of the ticket sales are handled pre-sale through the Parks Department, and we get a cut of the revenue on that sale. The cost to secure a contract is $290. That money goes back to the Parks Department if we meet our pre-sale goal of 200 adult tickets. I reached out to several other communities that have hosted Culpeper and Merriweather. They all said they're great to work with. The only thing that you need to do is make sure that you sell the tickets that you need. The more tickets you sell, the more money you make. The obligations for the city include the pre-sale tickets, a couple of personnel to staff day of ticket sales at the ticket booth, and a dumpster to handle refuse and animal refuse.
Fertilizer sale?
Yeah, maybe. Most of the communities that I reached out to, I actually talked to a group in Texas, a group in Iowa, a group in Oklahoma, a group in Arkansas. And they all just said, great to work with. It's a very small town, nostalgic fairway feel. So they all said they were a great organization to work with. I think it'd be a great opportunity for the Parks Department to bring something fun into town to really gin up some excitement in September.
Where are you wanting to put this?
So, Jackson Street. So they only require something like a 6 acre plot, I think is what it said. And they come in that morning, they said, you know, if you're close to a school, invite the kids down, we'll set the tent up in front of them, they can ask questions.
What all are they, have you said it's kind of like the old Midway style, like games and?
So there will be inflatables, and they'll have trapeze artists, and cotton candy and food sales, and there are big cats, and I don't remember what the other thing was, but it's a big fun camel, maybe.
So they bring their own food sales trailers, it's not something that parks could also make money by having trucks come in?
That's correct. We could not.
You cannot bring in,
Correct.
that would be another revenue generator.
So, yeah, so I think they carry the insurance that we require, and list this as additionally insured. And it seemed like a good deal. Many of the communities that I've talked to said, yeah, we bring them back every couple of years. Apparently one year they travel east, and then the next year they travel west on their loop. So it's like every other year they bring into a community. So.
And your only estimated out of pocket is the $290?
The $290 for the contract securing fee.
And the personnel.
And the personnel, the staff?
We pay for the dumpster?
I think we can get the dumpster installed too. I know a guy.
All right.
The Jackson Street, we have the bathrooms are working.
Yes.
Okay.
They will be, we usually don't close down the bathrooms until that first weekend of November is when we, like the cutoff for the restrooms. And if we have a big event, we'll open up the inside bathrooms too, so we've got more than just the two outside.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same group or not, but lots of years ago, there was like a big top circus over by the high school, middle school area. I took my grandmother. She had Alzheimer's or something she really enjoyed, so.
All right, nothing else, State of the City presentation, item number 21.
Well, I've been excited about this all week, and now it's time I find I've forgotten everything I crammed in my brains. It's just the way it's been. Rebecca, I've been so excited for this. Of course, my plan is I hope to make this an annual thing. We do a lot, and as I've alluded to, to kind of pull this idea out, when I wrote a staff update for just a little quarterly update, it was incredibly long and incredibly difficult to cram onto a page. So when you kind of gave me the go-ahead, well, let's hear it then. I hit 12 pages and figured that was probably a little bit too long. So I've reduced it down to 7 pages with bullet points, and maybe we'll get through it this evening. But we've done a lot. I think this is an opportunity to reflect on some progress we've made, some priorities we've advanced, and some visions we're really trying to build together here. We've looked back since October. Before that, I was drinking from the fire hose, so memory's a little hazy from October to May. But we've been focusing on doing what I think matters most. We've been improving essential services, working on building a more accountable administration, and enhancing community engagement, with the most recent survey hitting almost 600 responses, which I thought was pretty cool. It hasn't always been glamorous, but it's been pretty grounded, pretty steady, pretty productive. I say regularly, slow incremental progress, but it is progress nonetheless. So moving on, we began this year and ended the last one by addressing probably one of the most important and complex issues that any city has to deal with, namely the sustainability of our water and sewer system. Following some extensive community conversations, planning, we've implemented a rate adjustment that I think secures the future of these services, and keeping transparency at the forefront of it with the new Water Advisory Board. We've also continued vital street, water, sewer maintenance projects to improve the systems we have and the reliability and performance of them. We've refined operational procedures to better address service coverage concerns, directly focused on I&I challenges that are inherent in our sewer system. I'm proud to say we've got a water supervisor who is so excited and so positive about tackling it. He makes me feel negative sometimes. He is so positive and so energetic. It's lovely. We've also engaged in long-term planning to make sure that today's needs don't outpace tomorrow's resources. And then what Rebecca did is she spoke with Parks, with Public Works, Police Department, and Planning, since there's a lot of activity going on in there. And we were able to list some quotes just for your interest that were on the slides there. Moving on, last week, although the vote is still unofficial, it was clear that there was a majority of folks who demonstrated strong support for our public safety purpose tax. So we're quickly moving on that trust with action. The chief, lieutenant, and Sergeant Purdy worked with me. We've launched a 3-pronged plan to focus on improving officer pay, investing in equipment and tools, and enhancing public safety related infrastructure to support response capabilities and support community confidence. We also recognize that there were some community skeptics and some folks concerned that with the audit pending, is it now the time for asking for new money? So what we're going to do to tackle that is we're going to commit to transparent stewardship of that new money. The plan is to create a public-facing dashboard to show how the revenue is being allocated and the impacts that it produces. The Chief of Police is committed to tracking meaningful successes tied directly to the funding. So for example, if the funding helps us to deliver flock cameras to our community. He's committed to delivering reports to show where that flock camera resulted in action. We also recognize that there's a need to see this progress, track the results, and make sure that the community can hold us accountable. To us, and I think to the city as a whole, it's more than just about revenue. It is about results, responsibility, and restoring confidence in the city by clearly connecting taxpayer investments with real-world safety-related spending. So we intend to do that. Moving on, this is kind of the bigger one. We've continued to build foundations for a high-performing organization that's grounded in accountability, transparency, and consistency. Since October, we've developed a new disciplinary policy to ensure fairness and transparency in performance management. We've launched a structured employee-based evaluation policy that has scheduled reviews and clear guidance for merit-based raises as opposed to giving blanket annual step increases to all staff. We've advanced a reimbursement policy to clarify the expense procedures for staff, updated key portions of the personnel manual to reflect modern expectations and legal standards, and we're currently working on a total rewrite of the entire manual as the year progresses, which will incorporate earlier updates we've presented to the board. We've also revised the city's purchasing and contracting ordinance, and we're in the midst of adding purchasing controls, which we hope will provide comprehensive internal procedure guides, fillable forms, and training documents to support compliance with the rules set. We've also upgraded the city's website, which has been going well. That's the most visible thing that I think the community will see right now. We've also strengthened its integration with social media platforms, reinforcing its status as the city's official public source of information. We've also worked closely with our new city clerk and public information officer to begin engaging in two-way communication strategies, leveraging Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and we're still working on Instagram. For some reason that is stubborn, but we're trying to connect with the residents where they're at. We've been promoting transparency by focusing on city updates like this one, sharing achievements, financial information via our transparency section. The PIO is working on developing crisis communication protocols to ensure we have accuracy and coordination during emergencies. And we're working on leveraging modern formats such as visuals and short videos to communicate city messages across a broader demographic. The chief was probably one of the first ones as we did the public information safety tax training. We're hoping that these will improve both the internal and public-facing performance of our city government. Moving on, planning. Well, I've gone too far. There we go, I've gone backwards. Sorry about that. Planning and development's delivered one of the most productive years. They've modernized codes, streamlined services, and delivered notable growth for the city. There's been some modernization in service deliveries there. We've implemented the Civic Review online permitting platform, allowing us to go fully paperless with submittals and inspections. They've improved service speed, clarity, and transparency for developers, inspectors, and residents. We've passed new mixed-use ordinance and in the process of tweaking that just a little further, made targeted updates to R1, M, and C2 codes, zones, revised the variance process, appointed a board of adjustment, and expanded the planning commission to keep up the pace of the demand that we have. Planning's also amended numerous technical codes. We've tackled excavation, I&I, water-related connection fees, bulk water rates, and capacity fees. And there doesn't seem to be any slowing Mike down. That's why you have so much on the agenda all the time. We've advanced design and planning for Highway 160 storm system and underpass, which will directly help some residents over there just south of 160. Sidewalk connections on Jackson, Hunt Road, Melville to AB, which we also found, hey, guess what? We can lay our own sidewalk sometimes. So that's been a wonderful learning experience. Downtown parking enhancements are in process. Hoffman Hills is expanding. We've issued permits for 125 new homes, 250 total across all development types, which I think is a very strong indicator of Willard's continued residential growth, and hopefully in time we will leverage that into some commercial growth, and it's not for want of trying. And I gotta find the back area now. There we go. Parks Department's been busy as well. They showed a strong initiative during what was typically their slowest season. They've been able to partner with the Missouri Department of Conservation to improve runoff prevention and algae control at the rec center. That was zero cost. Installed new playground lighting for improved accessibility and safety. Added traffic calming at the community building. Completed facility upgrades including roof repairs, municipal pool repairs, maintenance improvements at their parks maintenance building. They've also laid out practical and ambitious roadmap for coming up. Expanding programming, including youth camps, homeschool activities, and educational intro 2 classes. Training and hiring for camp staff, coaches, referees, and aquatic team members. And then they found some events that don't have a heavy price tag, such as movies at the park, paint nights, and sunflower days. And then they're doing better marketing of underutilized resources like community gardens, enhance the cleanliness of park restrooms and locker rooms, and we've just had an extensive conversation about the pool and the municipal pool facility as a whole. They're also trying to look into cost-saving landscaping environmental efforts such as riparian planting, efficient mowing schedules, and low-maintenance plants to reduce some of the recurring costs that we see. These focus not just on programming, but safety, sustainability, impact, and hopefully improving that bottom line. Moving on. We've also strengthened ties in the region to support growth, attract investment, and foster collaboration among our regional partners. We've explored sustainable fiscal models for long-term parks operations, ensuring our recreational spaces remain open, accessible, and financially sound for future generations. Finalized a support resolution for the 2025 Ozarks Regional Legislative Priorities, circling our growing voice in shaping regional infrastructure and funding strategy. This quote I like. I think this one right here sums up Willow perfectly in the spirit of where we are right now. We're not just asking why are things the way they are, we're asking ourselves, why don't we make them better? Why don't we invest in the people that we serve and protect the city with? Why don't we reimagine how we communicate, plan, and grow? Why don't we show that local government can be transparent, accountable, and still be ambitious while we do it? I think this year's been kind of full of why not moments, and I think we've accomplished things just because we chose not to stick with the status quo. We just went for it, and we've done it fairly quickly. Why not do the sidewalk? You know, why not lay a little bit of asphalt? Why don't we finally fix our own sewer problems? So I want to carry that work forward. I think the work we do today opens the doors for tomorrow, and I'm truly excited for what lies ahead, and I think the staff kind of pick up on that. I promise I'm not just a hype man. You know, I really believe we can do this. I think Willard is placed perfectly, and we have a good future ahead of us, and we just have to go and grasp it. Sometimes it's going to be requiring us to be a little creative. Sometimes, yes, we might have to figure out how to pay for it, but I think we have the skills, we have the staff, we have the position, and I'm excited to go get it done. We've got a few other little quotes on here that I feel quite interesting. You know, we're trying to find ways to encourage the growth and have the growth pay for itself. That's a good way to get it done. You know, developers want to come in and see if we can get them to pay for some of this stuff. We're finding ways to move ahead. These kind of spoke to leadership. I think these quotes here kind of example the momentum we're building inside internally. I think the staff are feeling it. We see them putting out a lot of effort, and we're seeing a lot of results already. So this is why I talk to the momentum side. The past 6 months haven't really been about headlines, which is probably a good thing. We've stayed out of the paper, but it's been about hard work and seriousness, and I think that's what a city like Willard deserves. Is it deserves that hard work, and I don't take that as just a platitude. You know, it's had a little bumpy road, and now we're able to deliver results. We've built new policies, we've tackled infrastructure, we've started enhancing our planning for the long haul, we've listened carefully to what residents have shared, and boy, do we truly hope we hear from more. We don't want to hear from the same people. There's a large town of people. 560 was a great response rate on the survey, but I still think we can do better. So I encourage the community to reach out with our ideas, participate in some of these community gatherings to create a master plan. It's all information that we can use to make things better and to make things what our residents expect. But we've taken what we've heard from the ones we've heard from so far, and from employees, To me, this is what honest work looks like. It's disciplined, it's honest, it's forward-thinking, it's ambitious, it's positive, it has energy behind it. I'm proud of the work we've done as a team, I'm proud of the support from the board. I thank you for your continued support and your vision. And I would just close to say, let's keep building practically, strategically, and most definitely together. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Wes. I think it's important that everybody on an individual basis and a team basis steps back and recognizes and enjoys their successes. So it's good to, when we sit back and realize as a board and as department heads and employees and staff realizes how much we've really done in the last couple of years, because we have done a lot. And sometimes we forget how much that we do and how much we accomplish. So it's important to recognize that and enjoy the victories whenever we can. So thank you to everybody. Wes, do you want to talk about the city interview notes or?
This was all part of the same packet.
Is that part of it?
Yeah, that was, so the interview notes there, that was just the detail of what Rebecca got from Public Works, Police Department, and Planning, just for your reading pleasure.
All right, then that skips us down to the new business. I'm assuming, do you have any other remarks other than what you just covered?
You know what, I do, and I got so excited I already closed them. I do have some things, yes, I always have things. So just kind of a tease, I guess. We're looking for options that hopefully will facilitate funding connecting our B-lift station to 94, which would open our northern section for development. We are really sincerely hoping we will have a very interesting update by the next time we meet. We're meeting someone tomorrow, so fingers crossed. Wish us luck, we'll see what happens. We're also looking into options for better managing our financial deposit. We've been talking with banks. I think that money we have in the bank could be performing a lot better than it is. You know, there are ways to invest it while still maintaining public funds regulation. I don't think we take good advantage of that. So hopefully here in the coming months we'll find ways to better make our money work for us when we're not using it for other things. We're also working towards our first monthly report on transparency. We've kind of alluded to this in the past. Department heads have been tasked with looking at reports on a weekly basis, reporting to the finance department if they see any inaccuracies, so that hopefully finance department can finish closing the books month by month earlier, so we can deliver regular reports that we don't kind of change because we've now spotted that a dollar was over here instead of over there. We're still working through updates to the personnel handbook. It's slow going, and congratulations, Nate. We'll need a early review, I'm sure, before it's finished. But we hope to have that in the coming months for you guys. Working with PB on their priorities for spending with the new sales tax. One thing to keep in mind, an unusual wrinkle perhaps for Department of Revenue. The rule is, if I remember the wording right, it will go into effect the second quarter of the month following when it was approved. So that looks like it will be October, which would then likely mean we would see revenues change in November. So we have a little bit of time to plan out priorities and present that and bring the board into those discussions. And of course we want to make sure that we do that transparently so the community can see what we're doing and then ultimately see where that money goes and what it does. So we have time to prepare all that information for them. We also had an opportunity to visit the pool last week. There are some areas I think we should tackle to bring that facility into good condition. I think one of them is a particularly priority issue. We've talked about that with Jason. I think he's already got a plumber coming in. I don't know what the bill will be, and fingers crossed it'll be kind of low, but I think we're talking, if it's not resolved, it could be catastrophic for the pool. Best case, and worst case, it could kill somebody. So we've got basically standing water in an electrical area, which is probably not the best thing. But we'll have it fixed by opening time, won't we? I just wanted you guys to be aware of it because it's kind of important. Hopefully it's just a case of fixing the sump pump and life is good, right?
Yeah, whatever.
And then good news on our flow meters. I just got word today. We of course had 5 flow meters in the sewer pipes. They were left. they actually still work. The worst issue is 2 probes were broken, so they've been extensively tested, firmware updated, we've got some new cables, new batteries, and the engineer or the consulting company will hopefully be scheduling time to bring those back. What we'd like to try to do is get a tough book laptop, hopefully in time for them to come back, and then they can install the software. And then we can get these things in the ground and start figuring out where all the water's coming from. We had recent heavy rain. Because the public works folks were so busy, they couldn't go kicking manholes off to see where the water's coming from because they're busy pumping it out before anything overflowed. That would have been a great time to have a flow meter in because they could still get the data they needed. But great news is we don't have to pay for more. They will work. They're functional. We'll get them back in service shortly. And that is all my updates I have. I think the next thing will be the new business sections for discussions.
Let's move on to new business, number 24, discussion of additional downtown parking.
Well, the good news is we got a great report from the city administrator on our yearly. The bad news is she gave me a break to rest up and I'm gonna start talking again. So, as discussed a little bit before, we have, proposed plans for some additional parking downtown, both on the north and the south sides of, Jackson Street. And these will be done, in accordance to need, and we're looking at,
North and south, because to me, Willard is not square. Which side is north and which side is south?
okay, so the townhouse is on the north side of the road.
Okay, thank you.
The mayor is on the south side.
Okay, thank you. I just needed to clarify. I struggle with the north and south of
Okay.
Willard
Do your left and right like this.
sometimes. Shut up.
What is left and right, both start with an L?
No.
So, what we're proposing is we're gonna be getting some engineering on those sections, and like I said, it's gonna be a phased approach. We know the downtown area needs some work. We know we want to focus our efforts there, help the existing businesses that are already there with foot traffic and with safety and upgrading of ADA. But we also want to be smart about it with the new equipment that's been bought by the city, the pull behind asphalt layer and the city's ability to lay concrete. We hope to self-install a lot of this, saving the city money and time where possible. So that's what we're looking at doing, is we're looking at getting that design so we're that much further ahead. If a grant opportunity comes up or different things like that, we can apply for it. If not, we can use the phased route, and as needed and as funds come available, we can self-perform that work. So, questions? North and south, I got it. What else?
Okay, so my next question. The area, it's the furthest most spot on the south side.
Furthest most spot.
You like that? Very, very
Now I'm
technical, right?
now I'm gonna have to ask you, where are you talking
I'm
about?
getting ready to
East
tell
or
you.
west on the south side?
Stop. The very last spot in front of the hip joint,
Okay,
on the south side. And it's usually blocked on a Friday evening.
Yeah.
The visibility, if you're sitting at the stop sign, it is very difficult. So is there something that we can do to maybe, I don't wanna say shorten that parking spot, but make it so that the visibility is easier for a vehicle sitting at the stop sign? Because the stop sign is sitting back further from the intersection. And so if, let's say you have a big truck or SUV parked there on that corner, because they're at Pisano's or this.
so they're parked on Jackson Street.
They're
You're
parked on
driving.
Jackson Street, and you're driving on Jackson, and you're going towards First Baptist Church,
Okay,
because I am not a north, south, east, west person. You're sitting at that stop sign, you can't see if there is a car crossing Jackson on Main
Correct.
until you're already past the stop sign.
Yeah, and we will address that with the engineers when they get into
Okay.
conceptual design and everything like that. We do wanna have our site triangles,
Yeah.
set, so there's no issues.
It's
So,
been really bad. I mean,
Um,
and I have kids that are learning to drive, and so when you're teaching them, stop before the stop sign.
yeah, and we're, that's the reason we're doing it, is to increase safety, you know? By adding parked cars on the street and everything like that, you're gonna be reducing the speeds, you're gonna be doing that also, so, yeah, we can adjust those lengths, from the stop sign where they park to add the safety site triangles and everything like that. And I think they were planning on putting a crosswalk right there also, so that would further extend it back to the east, but you're not, further extend it back towards the mayor's house, how's that?
This is kind of heavy if you need it for something.
Well, I mean, I could chuck a pin, but I'm not gonna. I got mitts.
We have public here, and I know how you throw, I'm not worried. So, any other questions? Great question.
Okay, let's go on, discussion on record retention schedule and record disposal.
Would you like me to take this one, Ross?
Go for it.
All right, I have been looking into the records that we have that I think there's been some hesitation to dispose of a lot of our records in a responsible way. I did find that other cities have what I included there, a resolution and then a schedule that clerks fill out so that the board can see what's being disposed of and then get permission. Wes and I felt that we should bring that before you to know that that's an option. I'd say one of the positives of that is that you can see what is being disposed of. I'd say maybe one of the cons is that I already sense a hesitation to dispose of records, that city clerks don't want to take that responsibility, so they just keep everything. And having to do more work could make that punish, the clerk for wanting to dispose of records. So I think there's some give and take on that.
Separate from the court files?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I guess I just wanted to bring that up to you, that there are a lot of options that you can be involved with that. I guess that also brings responsibility to the board, adds to your work increase, because every time we dispose of records, we would need to bring that before you. But
I think it ups the transparency of it as well, especially when the public has been concerned about things in the past. Right now we have files up on the rafters which they weren't really designed to hold. We can't keep that forever. There are certain things that we probably would never want to get rid of. Anything pertaining to Willard's history. I have a nice picture in my office now that was part of Willard's history. I have seen when they designed the flag. We wouldn't want to impinge any of our historical documents, but emails from 2010 that just are irrelevant to any business, probably time to go. Audits from 1982, probably past done, probably time to go. We want to focus on at least the statutorily required items for sure, and then maybe, like in Mike's case, maybe there's some blueprints or diagrams from 2002 or some zoning maps that might help resolve a neighbor dispute one day. Probably good to keep on for a little while. But we want to make sure that when we start making those decisions, when we start removing the literal dead weight from the rafters above us, there's transparency in that process that we can tell the public what's being disposed, why it's being disposed, what it is, and have that audit trail and have it kind of out in the open for everybody to see.
So there's not any kind of true, I don't want to say ordinance, but there's not any true, like, with financial files, with what I used to do, we had set guidelines.
the schedule, a record schedule.
Yeah.
There is a state record schedule
So
that
there
we
should be
follow.
okay.
That exists.
So-
It's very, very specific.
Judging by what we found, it's been applied sporadically, and I think that's the issue. So what we're doing and what Rebecca's been doing is trying to clean out and tidy up and remove some of that flotsam and jetsam that's floating around. But we don't, because it could potentially be large scale, we don't want it to be done in the shadows. We want it to be done in the open. Ideally have box one with an inventory of box one, and so we know what's in it and we know what's being gone before it goes away.
So before the mobile shredding truck pulls out front and you start hauling boxes out,
Yeah,
and people freak out.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, we don't want to upset the community, and then if there is impassioned feeling in the community that something's being disposed of that they don't want, that gives them an opportunity to speak up and say, we'd like to look at that before you get rid of it. That sums it up.
That sums it up. Pros and cons.
Any other questions? On the unfinished business, water sewer advisory board appointments.
So we've had a list, Troy picked a list, and I think the list in your packet might have actually contained Brian Chapman in the end. Previously, there was a selection for in-town, but he reached out and said that he'd spoken to his boss and it was a big no-no for him to serve on the board. But Brian Chapman is willing to serve. He is an in-town resident, so it fits the spot perfectly. With the board's approval, those mayoral appointments can be made. We'll reach out to them and start scheduling the meetings. We would also need to pick a term, and we staggered them intentionally so that some of them would drop off and be up for appointment, and then eventually we'll have that 4-year cycle for everybody with staggered terms. I would recommend that appointments, probably a multi-year needs to go to at least one of the out-of-towners, one of the longer multi-years anyway, but really it's open to you guys to approve the appointments and the terms.
And we're also keeping the list of names. Troy said that we're keeping the list of other people who want to be on the board.
Yeah,
I
think we've kept that, yeah, nothing's gone. Actually, one of the other in-towners, he's had some health issues at the minute, but I think he was still willing to serve, wasn't he, if necessary?
You said that Brian cannot.
Brian can, yeah, Brian was the
Yes, he
replacement.
can, okay.
Yeah, Brian was the replacement. I forget the fellow's name. Do you remember the guy's name who dropped off? It was Justin, yeah, Justin Schaefer.
Justin Shaker.
Yeah, so Brian
He worked
replaced
for
Justin.
CEU.
Exactly, he works for City of Springfield, and Angie works for City Utilities. She did get clearance from City Utilities. They're okay with it, and they were
In
encouraged.
Springfield, the city actually controls the sewer side of things, not city utilities, and we contract with the city, so
So that was the conflict.
I think he worked for the sewer department, which
He does.
could be a conflict.
In a supervisory position.
Okay, so we need some recommendations on terms.
Let me pull that list up real quick.
If you did 2 and 3, you just staggered them.
And I think either Cam or Kelly, I would say, needs the 4-year. And then you kind of stagger down. Let me wrestle up my memo here.
Kim was probably the better.
She wanted to be a longer, yeah. Or Kim wanted to be a longer.
Okay. Let's look that memo. So the way I kind of stacked it up in my initial recommendation was 1 member will get a 4-year term, 1 member will get a 3-year term, 1 member will get a 2-year term, and 2 members will get a 1-year term. I'd certainly recommend the board considers giving a 4-year term to an out-of-towner. Sounds like the leaning is maybe Ken. I would like to see maybe Angie get the 3-year term. I think she's shown she has a lot of support and thoughts for the city. I'd like to capitalize on that. Leaving the 1 2-year and 2 1-years for the remaining individuals.
So I would make the suggestion that Mr. Reed gets a 4-year. And then Mr. Long Although I truly think that there should be, like the other out of town should be a 2-year.
Mhm.
So if that's the case, then Mr. Davis would be a 2-year.
Get two.
Okay.
And then leaving Wilson and Chapman with a 2, and maybe Wilson with a 3.
So I have, Reed for 4, Wilson for 3, Chapman for 2, I have Davis for 2 as well, and Long for 1, so Chapman or Davis will need to,
You wouldn't wanna do two.
you could do two years if you want
2 years,
to.
but then you've got a 1 year with, or an in town with a 2-year,
town.
and an out of town with a 2-year.
Right. And
And
then,
that's, then you've got some rotation.
Just that's
there.
rotation.
and then 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Yep. Entirely to you guys, but that will work. And you just gotta vote on it.
Are we voting on that
You-
tonight, or?
I think so. Can we vote on that, or do we need a resolution to go with that?
No, those are his appointments, so he's,
So they just vote it out.
Dave does, and I would, and he's assigned, we just make the motion to include what terms they're gonna serve.
Okay. And we can do that now.
Can we get a motion?
You want to clarify
So
the
just,
terms before we
let
go?
me reread it then. So we got, Reed for 4 years, Wilson for 3 years, Chapman and Davis for 2 years, and Long for 1 year.
Make a motion that we accept appointments as Wes has read.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Alderman Villiers?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keen?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swataj?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other unfinished business?
Real quickly, there will be a joint Alderman Planning Commission meeting on May 6th. If you're available to attend that, please RSVP Tammy, so she knows who will be there. We'll make it worth your while.
And that's open to the public as well.
Absolutely.
You doing tacos, cause it's the day after Cinco? I know, that wasn't on the menu.
Cinco de Taco.
You might have, Rebecca put it on there as a work study on the agenda,
Okay.
since it's a meeting of the boards.
Yeah, and it's a public meeting also, so,
If it's already on there, then that's fine.
yeah, it will be a public meeting,
What time is that one?
6 o'clock at the community building.
We did that last year, didn't we?
Yep.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay, let's recess for the open session.
I'll make a motion that we recess for our, did you want to do it, Joyce? Yeah. We recess our open session and, open the closed session for section 610.021 subsection 1.
You can do it, you can do it.
Second to closing and opening.
Jason?
Yes, sir.
I
Yes.
will take a
I
roll
thought we were,
call.
yeah, we need roll call
Okay,
to go.
roll call, let's go over the, all right. Alderman Villiers? Yes. Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keen?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swataj?
Yeah, that was the government.
Thank you.
Make a motion
Make a
that
that
we
we
close,
close.
close the meeting, or adjourn, sorry.
Adjourn the open session.
Adjourn to adjourn, right? All right, I have a first, all in favor?
Second.
Oh, okay.
All in favor, aye.
All in favor, aye. Any nays?
I was gonna say, now that I have